welcome to this week's episode of Connect. We're coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. My name is Uyai Anyek, and I am very delighted to be talking love, relationship, family life with you here today. And I particularly love what we'll be talking about today. Oh my God. So I have 1 plus 1. I have 2 pairs. I have English is doing me something. But I have couples. That's 1 couple, 2 pairs. Yes. They're joining me today, and I'm super excited because we are talking about first years in marriage. Now they have been married for under 2 years, both couples that we're having on lots of things. Now there's a lot of statistics that says that a lot of marriages fail under the first year. Some people say that the first year of marriage is really difficult. Now, we went through the liberty of bringing you 2 different sets of couples. Let's hear them out. What's these first year experience been like? I have joining me this show, and I'm excited to have them. Of course, Mrs. Yudi Tom is a regular on this particular family show, and I'm excited to be introducing her husband, Mr. Victor Tom. Of course, Mr. Victor Tom himself is a businessman and a ministry man, a life coach and relationship expert himself. So you psychologist. Joining us virtually from the United Kingdom this evening, Mr. and Mrs. Ezeko. I should even say like pastor and engineer and cybersecurity, Mr. and Mrs. Ezeko. Good to have you joining the show this evening. Ezeko are preachers of the gospel, and Mr. Ezeko himself is a cybersecurity expert. I hope passion for mental health, and she's also a content creator. Very good to have you on the show this evening. And I must say, mental health is my new interest. I want to learn something in that area, so I might come to you for mentorship.
One moment like spring, another moment is like he wants to rain, another moment cold, another moment is hot. Binging.
Oh, wow. Okay, so we want to talk from your wedding, from your, different events all through these under 2 years of your marriage. But share with us. Let's start with, how did you meet?
At our vision board, my vision board party. Like I said, I've always had a burning desire to do things, ensure that people come together. Situation. So yeah. So God, in that moment, December, I had traveled to host something, and I asked him, what do I host? And literally it was like, host an event that people will come together to speak about like their visions and aspirations for life. So I reached out to my boss then to that I needed to use his space, and the next number I'm given is the manager of the company's number, and that was Mr. Steven there. So I reached out, just very quiet as he is. He's very bearded and he looks like a fine boy, so he doesn't even look like a spiritual brother or anything. So just putting out there for ladies that are spirit filled and think that they would see what they're looking for just by looks. Sometimes yeah, very raw package. So I went to him, and in that moment I was just talking to him about, oh, my mom said I should get married. Oh, I'm recovering from a breakup, and I don't know, the men that God sent our way, they are just always very quiet and listening. And we didn't kick off like a relationship immediately. We just were starting viewers. So for the single people out there, there's someone on your WhatsApp that is just a status viewer and it's not really like communicating. When God has decided that the 2 of you are together, there's one status that he will reply that will kick off a conversation that will never end. And that is what it has been for us.
Thank God I post status very often, which means I have hope. My status bar is usually very active. Yeah, that's a great one.
There's no other thing to add. That's like how I met. That's how you met. Vision board.
Vision board. Wow. So mostly our spouses are embedded in the things that we are doing, the giftings that we have, the assignments that we are pursuing. So I think, like, Precious has set a tone for us this evening, trying to draw the lines as we speak. So more like, concentrate on your purpose, on your dreams. You might meet the one just in the course of that. But let's meet you, Mr. and Mrs. Victor Tom. How did you meet?
It belongs to the same department, but before then, I before Mr. Victor, my husband, Mr. Victor then. My husband now.
Mr. Steven then, Mr. Victor then. I'll soon find the Mr. something then. All right.
All right. So we met in church, and there was this knowing, though from a distance initially. The first time I met this young, handsome man behind the counselor's seat in my church then, I was like, okay, oh, fine boys are always taken. And besides, there is no point fantasizing about what is not yours. You know? And when I came back, I can remember, as at that time, it wasn't what I actually wanted. It wasn't the kind of person, you know, we ladies, we have our spec and our fantasies.
They are dragging my spec today on Instagram. They are dragging my spec. Lanky brothers.
I didn't know how to drag. I didn't know how to, you know, be calling the or being insecure around the person. I just needed someone that this is mine and this is mine only. So looking at him, I said like, no, this can't be mine. But precisely we met in church. He was first my brother.
Do you have a twist to this story?
Yeah, I can go to everything that she's saying.
Yeah.
Because truly, also I was always seeing her around, and I had this special, should I say, interest. I was like, this lady for what I wanted. Though it was not easy because she gave me tough time. You know, the sister in the Latin. Wow. So she was dragging her, and I was to myself, okay, I wouldn't want to go for her and shot somebody else, but as God would have it.
Married for a couple of months now. How would you say that, you know, your marriage has been? Because like I said in my introduction, oftentimes people say that the first year of marriage is the toughest. And I don't know, I think it's maybe worthy of note for us to point out that this is like a second marriage for you, because, you know, you're like, he lost his first wife, you know. So like, let's know that it's more like he's coming from a back end of experience, and then he's marrying again to another person. I'd really like to start from you. What has your experience been like? Have there been, you know, situations in the last couple of months that you've caught yourself trying to compare your wife now and your wife who had passed?
Okay, before I actually got married again, I stayed for like 5 years with you guys, you know. 5 years, and I was being cooked, being baked by God. And just know that she is not your biological sister. Anyone that you want to get married to is not your biological sister. She's been trained by somebody else, birthed by somebody else, probably a different environment. And I was born and brought up in Lagos. I was prepared to know, to receive everything that she will bring, and to also look for ways around it, because I know any marriage that you get into, there must be a quarrel. You must quarrel, especially the first year. There must be quarrel. So I was prepared for it, and I was telling anybody that I'm ready for her, because she's actually a choleric.
She's the hard not them to crack.
So I was like, I'm ready for this. Victor, are you ready? Yes, I'm ready.
Solution styles. Definitely, that's something we are going to definitely talk about.
There must always be that, but the way you handle it. So that has been our whole experience. That's so always fun. Been. Anytime it comes, you just go solo.
What's been the biggest shocker for you in your marriage so far?
Shocker, like you said, my own kind of marriage and relationship is different from the
regulars, what people may see regulars.
Deviating from the norm. Okay, so this is someone who had always fantasized to marry that person who hasn't been, haven't been, or easy path or choice for me to make. Okay, and getting one of the shockiest part was that although he told me, of course, children were involved, and not just one, not two, not three girls, and then two boys and one girl. You know, and it was something that they said, are you mad? Are you out of your mind? But because I heard it, because I knew the dealings that God had dealt with me concerning that. But the shocking part of it was, you know, you are now in the reality. You said, I'll cope. And then you get to the house, and the children are like, don't forget that they've been with him for like 5 years. This has been the only person, you know, that they know. and that blues of, so you have to like, he actually played a very fantastic role in helping, you know, us to blend together. Maybe by talking to the boys, talking to the girls, bringing me into the center while I was shying away. It kept dragging me to the center, and now we are friends. As if we are best of friends. But at that moment, it was, in fact, that was the it was a turn off for me initially. But with his help and with the help of the Holy Spirit, because I realized that this is what you are going into. It wasn't like it was a scam. You were, you know, deceived into it. It was something that I knew that this is what God has saddled me with. This responsibility of raising this, you know, princes and princess to him. That is it. It was a shock. I can't even imagine the kind of things that these boys and girl wrote to me in the course of my birthday. I was like, all my life, all the love I've come together, put together, I've never seen it. I've never seen it, and I've been able to experience it because, you know, I was able to gather them and blend with them as well.
Wow, great story. I'm really touched. I feel like I have a lot of goosebumps, and this is a really great episode for us to learn. This is the, you know, newly married episode, and it's important that we learn all the lessons that we can. We have different sides of the coin. I feel like, you know, I know I've had like, this is my best episode, but the best episode is episoding. But we're going to take a real quick break right now, and when we return, we're still going to have this amazing guest with us, this amazing couple, all under, you know, 2 years in marriage, sharing their life story. It's different from when people are coming to quote book for you, you know. So just stay with us. When we return from this break, Connect continues. And I'll just head up, you know, straight to the way I like to put it, my UK couple. So you've been married for under 2 years. What has your peculiar story been like? Especially because you traveled on, you know, relocated under a few months of getting married. How did that affect you? First of all, we have to acknowledge the fact that you both are not from the same ethnic group. Precious is Akwa Ibom and Mr. Ezekiel is from Edo State, if I get that right. Yeah, so your you know, where you come from is different. What has been your biggest experience so far as a couple?
Okay, so I'll first of all talk about our different personalities. Yeah. So I am one, like, I would say, I use the word I don't care, but not like I don't care, I don't care. But I easily let things go and things don't really get to me. Unlike, say, my wife that, okay, gets things to heart. But she's more free spirited than I am. So I'm more like a differences that would explain how we see things and respond to things. I could probably tell you that our first year of marriage, personally, was one of the easiest. I don't know about everybody. I could probably say it's because
From a free spirited point of view.
from a reserved person kind of view, yeah, it was one of the easiest things because I would say because the relocation helped us to bond more. We only have ourselves here. There's no family in sense of it. Anything that happens is on us. Anything that does not happen is on us. Whatever we decide to do, we do ourselves. If you are failing, I will help you. If you're failing, you help me. So it's more like we had that mentality that we've only got ourselves right now because we've left. It helped us realize that if anything comes up, we have to settle it there and there because we are all we've got. Do you understand? So that helped. I'm speaking for myself personally. So that helped me, like, okay, anything I have to do because we're starting life, we're starting family, and we are here now. We have to get things done. So for me, the first year of marriage was it was sweet because I had my wife to myself without anybody around or anything. So we had time to talk about how we wanted family to be. We had us. It was just like you know, when you say you got married and you had to leave to cleave, like you left as God called Abraham, carry your Sarah and just go. So we just left everything and just said, okay, let's be here and start that family.
Okay, I feel that's a really nice perspective to have come from because if we also fall back to statistics, we are looking at the fact that a lot of marriages break up once they relocate to other countries. Last week, I was reading that a marriage of about 30 when they were in wherever they were. Yeah. So, but then I feel like, you know, most of these other countries of the world give us liberty to practice whatever else we want to practice that our local African environments do not. But then, quote and unquote, did that have a place, you know, in your marriage?
So I would say that hearing my husband speak about a festive marriage, I would say that men are very, very positive and they tell the best stories because I'm just looking at him like was a very, very eye-opening year. And I would just like to say to all singles out there that whatever you are doing in your singlehood, whatever you're learning in your singlehood, live properly because you will need it as you go into marriage. Whatever your mother is trying to teach you, you would look back and tell her, "Thank you for teaching me us these things." So, when we relocated initially, we had to stay with our in-laws. Said I was like, maybe I didn't say, but some girls would like, "I'm never gonna stay with my mother-in-law. I'm never gonna have my mother-in-law in my house. She's gonna spend 1 week and leave." But my dear, in that moment, God showed me humility. God taught me how to be humble. God taught me how to serve. That is one experience I remember in my first year of marriage because I married my husband literally under 6 months of properly knowing and almost never meeting his family. And it felt like in that moment, I was in an internship to see what I would become of their son. But I want to say that in that moment, my husband is saying it now because I fought with God and all that He has instilled in me for peace. If it was a very traumatic experience, probably he would not be saying that. He would not be saying, "I took my wife, she was my own." Maybe he would have probably been saying something different. But in that moment of being faced with a different reality, I gave myself an opportunity to learn that I was in a new environment and I was given to sacrifice. When you come to a different country as a woman, I always thought about marriage as your husband does everything for you. You don't have to stress. You don't have to do anything. You are a baby girl. You drive in front of the car. All the Nigerian movie marriage idea I had in my head was that you just be like, "Honey, we are leaving. Don't be late for church." But coming to the UK, I'm just like, why do we have to be talking about money? It's all, why do we have to talk about finances? Why don't I just have to swipe your card? Because that's what Instagram makes it look like. You just swipe your husband's card. Well, the thing that gang me in marriage, and that's like, I've always been a person of conversation, but conversation in marriage is difficult and different because it will test your soul. It will test your ability to put words right. It will make you say one thing and the other person is understanding another thing. The first year of marriage is you understand more about the other person and it sets the pace for other years. Just like our other guests said, that most times it's not even really about like the quarrels or the misunderstandings you guys are having, but it is what those misunderstandings and what those conversations are preparing you for. So as a baby girl, relocation opened my eyes to a lot. Relocation made me understand that, girl, you're gonna walk. Girl, you're gonna bring your own quota. Girl, you're gonna respect your husband's privacy. That you're posting, that you're always posting and carrying video everywhere. Your husband does not like it, and he might not like it until he gets used to it. So, and another thing that relocation and marriage, the first year of marriage, also taught me was that as much as your husband loves you, but when he is now the husband and is responsible for the home, and the burden of the home literally is on him, you will have to massage his ego even in things that you normally would just say, "Oh, are we not dating? Oh, my baby, oh, my love." But then you have to be like, "My odogu, you are my all in all," and that makes me like smiling right now.
Wow, that's another wisdom. Okay, go ahead.
About the posting thing and all. See, life is like you learn the life. So and number has to do the different personalities for us to differentiate like based on personality to understand different experience. like differently. Not going to be similar. For me, say I relocated alone. You probably not see me for about 6 months, 9 months. Now, not because I don't want to post. It's because I understand the fact that I'm here. I'll be here for a time. There's enough time to do whatever I want to do.
For your wife,
But now, let me put my head down and settle in. That's the mindset I will have. But a baby girl would not want to have that mindset. They want to, as I am reaching, along with so it felt like it was a thing to her because it needed to like switch to be that it's just for now like lambda. It wasn't because I already had that mindset that my person. So that's why the experience will be a bit different. It's not like everybody to say this lie or this not like this, but it's going to be different based on the personality. That's what I want to tap.
Oh wow, there's so much wisdom gems dropping. I've heard finance, I've heard communication, and it's just a lot. So let's talk communication. I know your wife touched on something that was very important, the role that you played in blending her and your children together, because it's usually difficult, getting married, someone who already has children, and it's good to know that you were already armed with the wisdom for that at full time. So let's talk about preparedness. How did you prepare yourself for quote unquote a second marriage and having to blend your wife with your children?
Okay, after my first wife's demise, I had to tell God that first time I wouldn't want to make mistakes again. So that helped me to go about my ways, the way I talked, the way I did things. And I also went on internet. I got to know that if any single woman wants to get to a man that was once married with children, they will always want to pass through the children. So almost every
the power of research is also here.
Almost all the ladies, So almost all the ladies that I met, they will go to my children. Oh, lovely children, fine boys. Oh, they will buy them things. And I was like, at first, at first, I would almost be carried away, but because I know what I wanted. I wanted the best of the best, and there was one impression I gave to myself, that any woman I'm going to marry would always testify that I was prepared for it. I was studying for it. I was praying about it, and what I did was that. So she was the only lady that came and said, "I wish she didn't have children." I was like, why all others will come and say the boys, fine children, and they will want to pass through the children, and I'll be kind of flowing along, but later, because this Holy Spirit is involved, I just have to call myself in order. So one day I was studying. I never liked her for that. How can you say you wish that I didn't have children, whereas others will say children, they'll come after the children. From the head, before it gets to the bears, then before the skirt. So I was asking God, what is the meaning of this? He said it will take you to be happy and be successful before it can get to the children. I said, wow. So which means this only lady that has been saying, I like you personally, I wish you didn't have children. I was like, so why others? And I said, okay, if you have children, any woman that you are going to marry again,
marry for the sake of your children.
Marry for the sake of your children. That has been people's notions, and that has been people's advices to me, and it was like that notion. Gave me a different notion, or else I would have made a mistake. If I wanted to follow people's advice that children, so
Bible is good for your children,
I would have children first. I said yes, it was good, but here comes a lady that told me, I wish you never had children. I was like, what I was like considering, which she was like, my children, okay. But when I went back to God in prayers and I was studying, I heard God very well, and very clearly from Psalms 133, when he said so. I was like, wow, which means this lady is the only lady out of everyone that I've met that has a different perspective about this whole thing. Because I was like, so I went, and I was also no word a step in my family. stepmother, step children, step this, step brother. So I said, God, how is this going to be possible? Which means any woman that's coming to our life must that when she talks sometimes I tell her, no, come. Sometimes this is how you go about it. So that's then when the children, when she's out and she gives a rule, don't touch this. The boys, especially my first son, will come to me and said, Daddy, I want to touch that. I'll ask them, what did mommy say? So I played a lot of role, like she said, even some she does not know. I'll say, what did mommy say? She will not even say, mommy said we shouldn't touch. I said, then don't touch. When she talks, obey her. It's final. She's a mommy and she's this and she has rules. She has a voice. Yeah, she's a mom. And the boys are now growing up to know that this is their mommy. And like I said, I was prepared. And I'm still poor. She plays with the children so much that it was until when they now told me that those two boys are not hers, I was like, wow, are you serious? So I picked it from there. And I also met a lady that said her mom got married to her dad with children. And until she tells you that,
there was a different
oh,
family.
this is God. God is actually speaking to me.
Wow.
So I brought that into my family. So I was intentional. That's why I love using the word, even on my Facebook. Intentionality. I was so intentional. And that has helped us a lot.
And we will definitely have to bring you a part 2 of this particular conversation with this particular set of couple, because there's too much wisdom that is coming out of here and we haven't even milked them the least bit. See what? Next week, I promise you, we will have this conversation again. But for now, this is where we really have to draw the curtains. This has been Connect. My name is Uyai Aniek, and thank you for joining the show. And let's do this again next week.